Hello and welcome to the Apex Racing League GT Team Championship live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me for tonight's action is Daniel Handover, Sam Kumo operating the cameras, and we're here for round 3 of the championship. It's a pretty iconic circuit, Spa, to bring us into the second half of the season. Daniel, so far we've had a couple of very good rounds, Daytona and Silverstone. Elements of both of those circuits, I think, incorporated into this track, and yeah, this Spa circuit, probably the circuit that these guys have done more laps around than any other place. They will be very much up to speed very soon around this iconic circuit.
Indeed, Spa is a great track. I'm sure everyone over the broadcast that is watching now enjoys Spa as much as we do. It's going to be an incredible race to commentate on. As you say, Sam, there's a little bits from Daytona and Silverstone all wrapped into one. This is a great package as a track, and yeah, I can't wait for the race that's going to happen this evening.
It should be a really good one. Of course, the 2 rounds of the championship so far completed, and in the championship it is Wild Animals who currently lead the way. AAA Esports in second place, Wild Animals with that race win at Silverstone. Manatee Racing, who took the race win at Daytona and looked very strong in the early stages at Silverstone, had a penalty at Silverstone, which demoted them down to 6th position, 8th position even by the end of the race. And they've also taken a car change. They've switched from, I believe, the Corvette over to the Porsche now, so that is why they're down the orders. But you can see that wildanimals.org right up there in first place, AAA Esports in second, and Vulcan Sim Racing consistent so far with a 5th and a 3rd. They're just nipping at the heels. It could still change. No drop scores, 4 rounds of the championship, and so you do need to keep up those results in order to finish the season well. And so far Wild Animals have looked very strong. Last time out it did seem as though Wild Animals AAA and Manatee had the advantage on the rest of the order. Daniel, hopefully we see a couple of other teams perhaps mix it with them in this round like they did at Daytona.
Absolutely, I'm sure there's going to be some interesting racing. People are going to be up there. I think also as well, they're getting used to Spa is a great track, as we have said, but I think these GT cars really work well, and I'm sure this is one of the more popular tracks on the iRacing calendar for GT cars. So could be a few more people that have had more experience around this track as well, which obviously could very well mean some closer racing with everyone. So yes, very much excited to see how it all pans out. With 8.5 minutes into qualifying, we are at the moment.
Yes, yeah, so still a little bit more time for the judge to complete a lap, although it is such a long lap round here. And once you're out on circuit right now, then you're not going to be able to start another one because, well, in fact, actually, no, you can start another one, can't you, of course, because you do have the time after the session has expired to complete the lap that you currently are on. Currently we're watching Bonjour trying to improve on his pace. What are his sectors like? A personal best sector 3 for Bonjour, and looking at the other sectors, no personal best, but they still look pretty good. There's still potential for a change. It's currently Wild Animals at the top, AAA Esports in second position. The 127 leading the 162 at the moment, as Dylan Scrivens for Manatee Racing, who looks very good in practice, for the fastest of all the teams in practice. They now go to the top, and that will be the end of Scrivens' pace there. Any other improvements further down? Bonjour, I don't think improved at the end there. No, he did actually, but it was still only good enough for 3rd position, and he's back to the pits as well. And so, yeah, really only a couple of cars left to improve. Wild Animals are on a lap though in 2nd place.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to see the times that are starting to pick up already. I mean, Scrivens with a 2:11.7, very, very close. Although, as we say that, for what we have seen in the first 2 rounds, the gap between 1st and 2nd is over 2 tenths. It's very, very close further down the field. But yeah, 2 tenths separating 1st and 2nd. That's something I don't think we've actually seen that gap since we started with Sphere. I don't think we've seen that gap at all from 1st and 2nd this entire season.
Slightly bigger, isn't it? It's unusual. I mean, 2 tenths to go around at a circuit like this isn't too big, but you're absolutely right, and that does seem like it is the case then, that Manatee in that Porsche does seem to be the fastest car. I have heard rumours that it's the fastest car, as Vice puts in a good time for Fuga Sim Racing to move up into 6th. But yeah, that Porsche looking very good.
He is indeed, yes. Just currently looking down the field as well. Kovanov, that 217. Bondul, 258. So again, 400s behind. Now, I'm sure this is going to be a little bit closer in the race. Like I said, this is something that we're really going to be, you know, especially around a track this length. You know, like you said, 2/10. I suppose it's not too much, you know, with a 2:11 lap. I'm sure it's going to be close. Also, all the way down the Kemmel Straight as well. If you can hang on to the back of people going down the Kemmel Straight, you're going to get pulled along as well. So those 2/10, that sort of 2/10 in terms of qualifying pace, may start to close up, and everyone's will. I'm sure they'll get pulled along. So realistically, these gaps, I'm sure, aren't going to be as noticeable around here during the race.
That's certainly going to be the, yeah, I think that's going to be the case. Still, Wild Animals, though, are on a lap, and they're just approaching the final corner, just a little bit further up the road than Performance Link. So I am just keeping an eye on Kopanov if he does randomly put in the fastest time of the session. There he is, just on the run to the line. It's a very good lap. Very good start to the lap. Hasn't quite backed it up in the middle part of the lap. Crosses the line. It's not an improvement. Jeez, the times take a while to get through. No, it didn't pop up on our screen, but he did not improve on that last. No, I think he may have done. Not quite sure. Not quite sure. Maybe it was invalidated lap. Not 100% sure on that one. But he certainly did start off the lap very well. I think he set a personal, a purple first sector and a personal best second sector. But Wild Animals have to settle for second place, but still ahead of their main championship rivals, Triple A. So still good news for them. You can see Delort out there for the first time this season. Kip Stevens at the wheel of that car. Kip, of course, very experienced driver, former BSRTC champion is Kip. It's nice to see him out there, albeit he hasn't set up the right number, so he will be getting a penalty, a point penalty for that one. I don't think Kip will care too much about that one. But we've got the grids now lining up behind the Mustang pace car. And it is Manatee Racing on pole position. I believe for the first time this season, or did they get pole last time? Not quite sure, but it's Dylan Scrivens on pole position. Then it is Wild Animals, Triple A Esports, Pacific Sim Motorsports, Triple A Project, Triple A Project X, Fuga Sim Sports. Then it's Vulcan Sim Racing, Pure Sims Esports, Evo SR 144, Evo SR 148. You can see them teams a little bit further. Evo SR, by the way, undefeated around the circuit in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. That's a little bit of a facts for you. Valkyrie Esports line up in 11th. Then it's Evo SR 173, Pro Academy 269, Ignium Motorsports 126, M Science Immortal. Then it's Mateus Beer for Razaholics, top of the, or second place out of the amateur teams. Performance Link Esports lineup in 17th, then it's Perfect Vision Racing, Fuga Sim Sport 113, and Cars Competition 238. I believe they are the championship leaders in that one. So that is the order for you now. Yeah, how many cars do you think are in play for this one tonight, Daniel? Do you think it's going to be a three-way battle like we've seen at Silverstone, or do you think there's maybe a couple of other teams who could get involved?
Well, I don't know, to be honest. It's interesting to see. I mean, you know, it's a little bit hard to predict. As much as obviously qualifying does give you a good foundation as to the pace that teams do have, I wasn't really expecting the top three, obviously at Silverstone, to sort of run away with it like they did. This could very well be the same. We have seen some very, very strong performances, and qualifying obviously isn't is the same this round as well. So I'm interested to see. It could very well be a three-way battle. However, as we spoke about, Spa, it's a very, very difficult track. It's a very interesting track as well. A lot more people, like I said, could potentially have more experience. It's one of the more popular, as it's one of the more popular tracks, people will potentially have a little bit more experience. So that's going to play a part into it as well. I'm excited to see how it all turns out.
Definitely. Yeah, could be a good one, this one. Round 3 of the championship. Plenty of drivers started from the pits. That is due to various penalties for either contact in previous rounds or maybe setting up the wrong team ID. So that they will start from the pits, but no such issues for Manatee Racing taking pole position. and looking for their second race win of the season. We are under green flag conditions here at Spa to start round 3 of the Apex Racing League GT Team Championship. It's a very good start for Manatee Racing. Wild Animals under pressure from AAA. This is big for the championship, and AAA move ahead, but they miss the Apex, and these teams really costing each other time as they head into a regional first line, allowing Manatee Racing to break the jut in the early stages. So almost got too wide for second place, but that was much better for Kofanov just to stay in behind and then try to get his rival on the climb up the Kemmel Straight. Not too many movements further down the order. 1 place gained here, 1 place lost there. But yeah, really no massive gains, no drivers losing out big time either, as Wild Animals going the long way round at Lake Coombe. Expect this to be a high overtaking spot, and actually glitching out as well are Wild Animals all over the place, and they cannot take that position back. So it's Manatee Racing, AAA Esports in second place, and we've got a crash as well in the background, and that's Ignia Motorsports, the 126 car round. They've hit the wall. I think they should be back on their way soon.
Yeah, hopefully a little bit of a shame there. Apart from that, though, really clean start. Which is what you want, especially, let's say you've got an hour and 20 minutes worth of racing. You want that clean start. You want to get your foundation nice and early. You want to get the car settled as early as possible. And you want to make sure that you settle into that rhythm. So it's really key that you don't have too many issues and have too many problems at the start. Also, get head down, get into a rhythm. And then that will normally lead to some good times early on in the race, which if you can capitalize on that early pace that you have, that will gain you position, that will gain you confidence going through the rest of the race.
Sure will do. A little bit of contact here and there, some aggressive driving early on from these drivers. Kev Copeland, who starts at top of the amateur drivers, or amateur teams, had a poor start actually. He's down 4 places now, so there's been a few changes in this battle, just outside the top 10 amongst these drivers. And so it has shifted around the places slightly. T3 Esports also involved in this, getting overtaken by the 113 Fuga Sim Sports car. Alex Moore currently in that machine, and Moore might go for another move into the chicane to conclude this opening lap, as we've got a spinner as well, and also Fuga went off as well. But that's WS Racing, Till Bain in that car having an issue, and look at the chaos as well just going on in the background. It's tricky to keep our eyes on all of it, but also having issues was Adam Coles for Indy Autosports and Adam Gledden for Vulcan Sim Racing. So lots happening at the end of that first lap.
Indeed, a lot of stuff. Very true indeed. Like you said, it's not as bad. To be fair, we had a few incidents, obviously, at Daytona and Silverstone. With the amount of cars that we've got on track, okay, it's something that you can't quite always avoid. There are going to be some contact. There's a lot of cars, especially all trying to go through the first couple of laps together. So there's always going to be a little bit of contact potentially here and there. But at the moment, drivers doing as best they can to do. Get the car in the rhythm, like I said, get settled down. They're not battling too hard at the moment, but P1 and P2, like I said, 3 tenths behind. It's all still very close. No one's really seemed to have pulled out a massive gap yet, which is interesting, because before at Silverstone, we were already seeing the top 3 pulling a second and a half on the rest of the field.
Yeah, it has stayed that bit closer so far. Because yeah, by the within a few laps they were lapping half a second lap faster. But Adme Lieberg for AAA Project X, who I think started on the pit lane last time out, and so they are a little bit of an unknown quantity down there, or up there, sorry. So they could be dangerous. I think Sam Kuhn may have just corrected the timing. But apologies, no, Vulcan Sim Racing have just had a couple of pull-outs. Vulcan Sim Racing, by the way, are not the top of the amateurs, so usually purple indicates the pros, and the red indicates the amateurs. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of a glitch there, but you can see from the numbers, if they got a 2 at the front of their number, that means that they're an amateur. A 1 indicates they're a pro, so go by that, I think. That Vulcan Sim Racing has the only exception. Also, Kyle's competition, Apollo as well. Mark transferred that one, just a slight glitch as well, so apologies for that, but the numbers are correct pretty much all the way down the order. Which certainly getting that into their skull for this round, as Mark Tranter comes into the pits, and that is very unusual. I can only imagine that is one of the biggest cardinal sins of sim racing, and where you start with your qualifying setup. because he wasn't lapping particularly slowly there, Transfer, but he's had to go for an unscheduled pit stop, and this will lose him significant amounts of time.
Absolutely, that's definitely not what you want to do. Well, this is the battle for P2. You got Wild Animals that are going to try and go around the outside. Don't quite make the move stick because we've got AAA Esports defending very, very hard and putting their car in the place that they need to be as they go down the end of the Kemble Straight. Again, everyone falling back into single file. At the moment, Elite Racing have pulled that little bit of a gap. They've just pulled enough. I think the gap is now 2.7 seconds. They've really got their heads down. And at the moment, they have completely checked out. So interesting to see if they're going to maintain this pace. The gap's actually now gone back up to 3.2 seconds between first and second. So at the moment, those guys are really running away with it and letting these guys battle. And obviously that's just adding to the lead even more.
Yeah, this is an incredible gap that they've opened up so far. We expected the gap to be this big at the checkered flag because these top teams have been so closely, but remember Manatee starting the season in the Corvette, now switching to the Porsche, and around this circuit they do seem to be a lot more comfortable with it and maybe showing their true pace, albeit they got a penalty for for an incident at Silverstone. And they also got an additional penalty for changing cars, so they got 60 penalty points. Considering that you get a race win is worth 60 points, they are surely too far back in the championship in order to make a charge. But they're still looking to rack up the race wins as Wild Animals are all over the back of AAA at the moment, can't get past. We'll be saving a little bit of fuel right now, because we'll be pitting around the 40-minute mark to change drivers. One pit stop in this series. The drivers can go a maximum of about 45 minutes on a tank of fuel. And so you have to make one pit stop in order to get to the end. And at that pit stop, the teams will change drivers. 2 drivers must be fielded per event. And so expect that to really be the action points of the race, where there will be a lot of changes. But still, Wild Animals maybe getting a bit held up behind AAA, or maybe Manatee have just got the pace on everyone.
I think at the moment, yeah, Manatee are really just pulling that gap ever more, although it has stabilised around the sort of 3.2, 3.3 where it is now. Are we going to see another move potentially by by Wild Animals up the inside? We don't see a move being made yet, so this could be, at the moment, as you were saying there, Sam, these guys could just be sitting behind each other, just following as they go. We've got Daniel Ferguson currently in P7 for Pure Sims Esports, that's having a little bit of a battle. But again, as I say that, it's now switched to Matthias Beer, who's having to defend incredibly hard from Kairos competition, and Aidan Chabot in the Perfect Vision Racing Corvette. So some very, very aggressive defending here from the BMW. But at the moment, again, everyone's going round as they should be. I think, yeah, drivers are starting to gauge where other drivers and where other teams are quicker, where they're slower, and now we may start to see, now that everyone's a bit more comfortable, some moves being made now after the first few initial laps.
Yeah, I think so. There's been surprisingly few overtakes, I must say, so far, considering that it is Spa, seeing that there's, well, pretty much every corner around this track you can overtake on, or certainly I've been overtaken at every single corner of this race circuit. Maybe that's just my experience. But I'm surprised I haven't seen as many overtakes. But maybe just everyone gets in the draft of one another in these close packs. They haven't yet been able to really have a big pace advantage over the straights. By the way, of course, off-track's very common around this circuit. I think Kairos competition 238 just lost a place, by the way. Might be worth actually checking in on that battle, because Mateus Spear for Resaholics, and then we've got Perfect Vision and Kairos competition. Those teams are the leaders in the amateur category. But basically, back to my previous point, off-track's very common around this place. If you get 25 off-tracks, you get a drive-through penalty, and then for every 10 off-tracks after that, you get another drive-through penalty. You also get 5 penalty points for every 15 incidents that you pick up. So that's certainly something that the drivers will have to think about. So if anyone has to come into the pits in the last 10 minutes, then that's probably the reason why.
Yeah, it's definitely something drivers have got to consider. As we have said, and everyone knows it does race and iRacing. Spa is very, very notorious for off-track, but at the moment, raging, the battle for second place is still raging. We've now got Wild Animals, AAA Esports, or both AAA Esports cars there, and at the moment, that's going to be, again, very aggressive defending, but AAA Esports still manages to stay in front. Furious lights flashing by Wild Animals there, and Dmitry Kofanov, but at the moment, again, mega aggressive defending but it seems to be fair. He's only making one move per corner. So, and as I say that, that's a little bit of contact between the P3 and P4. So that was Wild Animals and AAA Project. He's nearly going to lose out on the position. So Flora nearly lost out to P5 there, but at the moment gets it all back up in check. And he's dropped a little bit back. That is going to hurt him, but I'm sure he has got the pace to catch back up, especially if P3 and P2 keep continuing the battle that they are doing. Fantastic racing from these guys so far. And we're already 10 minutes into the race.
Yeah, been incredible. 5 seconds now to Manatee Racing. That's the lead is a phenomenal gap. And I'm not quite sure what was going on with Wild Animals in AAA into down the hill into the right-hander. And we're lucky to get away without too much damage, but Wild Animals really feel like they want to get past. So far that move hasn't quite happened. Let's see if how much power they're keeping down through Blanchemont in these afternoon time of day. I doubt they're flat out. Oh, it's only a small lift though. Got to get the turn in just right in order to get the turn in as Kofanov down the inside. I think he's outbroke himself there, and he's going to cut the chicane, and this is going to cause a slowdown and might lose him a few positions, and that is a big mistake there from Dmitry Kofanov.
It's a massive overspeed carrying. So going through Blanchemont, obviously had the pace, had the overrun as well. And look, he's dropped down to P9, so a little mistake like that. It goes to show how close these cars are. He's going to lose another 2 positions. So he's going to potentially drop down into P10. I don't think he is. No, he's still managing to stay in at P9. But Vulcan Sim Racing on the back. So Luke McCann, he's going to want to be capitalising on the unfortunate incident there from Wild Animals. But yeah, bit of a shame. I think it was just massive overspeed carrying through into out of Blanchemont, and yeah, just missed the braking point. Braked at the same point. Obviously, when you're carrying an extra 5 or 10 Ks, that's not going to work out, and obviously it didn't. And yeah, so from 3rd to 10th in the space of about 300 meters.
Yeah, awful news for them, and have got one of the positions back. So they've got past the Evo SR 148 car of Tom McMahon, who has got 2 race wins here at Spa. We've had 4 races or 2 meetings here at Spa in the past in the Apex Racing League GT Championship, as that was Scott Kimbrough, I believe, for SCS Motorsports, just going off the circuit. We've had 4 races overall over the course of 2 meetings around this circuit, and James Salter's got 1, and Tom McMahon, I think, has got 3. So Evos are very good round this again. They have upped their pace for this meeting, albeit I doubt they'll get the race win this time round, but have got 3 cars at the moment up in the top 10. It's all getting very tight at the top of the hill. Matthew Sewell for Eclipse Racing Team, just at the back of this one. He's got Derek Holland, Marius Lisinski, and Till Bain just ahead. Remember, Till Bain for WS Esports spun on the first lap. They've done well to get back up into 29th.
Yeah, it's very true indeed. Very true indeed. So we're just currently still at the moment for WS Racing Esports in the BMW with Till Bain currently driving. He's big at the moment. He's sort of driving his own race. He's not really having to worry about anyone at the moment. He's just trying to put in the laps that he needs to, and just try and work his way up the field. Obviously, currently in P29, so not ideal for him, but I'm sure he's going to be, I said, trying to put as many laps as he can, because we've got Manatee Racing with another 13.2, so they are really motoring along. Still, that gap is ever increasing. It's now just moving on to Jake Browning. This is a battle for P23. So you've got Ignian Motorsport and RLL Abruzzi Esports, or RLR, sorry. Apologise. So the gap's half a second. Again, everyone seems to be sort of settling down. I'm surprised that there have not been as many lunges, although, we are just, about 15 minutes into the race, or not even 50 minutes into the race. So everyone's still being a bit cautious, a bit tentative. I'm just guessing. That's a spin for Dan Piazza, unfortunately, in the DRS Wave Italy Corvette. That's a big shame from him there. And it looks like he could have very well picked up some damage. He's now gone into the pits.
He's done similar to what we saw earlier on with the AAA. Now that's just a really good move from him. And then, well, the BMW was always alongside, and Piazza maybe was hoping that he wouldn't be there, and then getting a bit frustrated and turning back to the pit. Shame for Dan Piazza. DRS Wave started the season very well. Had a pretty good Silverstone meeting as well, but not a good Spa meeting for round 3. Still, this battle is going on. Kenny Liffey, by the way, on the Eclipse Racing Team car. the C8 just looks absolutely awesome. So I think everything works well on that, but that Eclipse livery is spectacular. He's just ahead of Indie Autosport, and then XP Motorsports are now ahead. I think that was XP Motorsports actually just making that move a moment ago, and WS Racing Esports pulling away from these guys after overtaking them a couple of laps ago. Of course, still plenty of battling going on, and of course I recommend clicking on the description below and opening up the live timing. So there's a link in the description below, and there is a live timing webpage that you can open, which gives you access to who's driving in each car at any one moment, and also each team's best lap time, the intervals between each of the teams and to the leader, their last lap time as well, their pit stop lap, and absolutely everything on that side. On that side provided by SDK Gaming in the description, as Cars Competition trying to move up into 14th place. They've had a very good race so far. EJ O'Donnell Lines now up 6 places from his start, but he hasn't got this move done yet.
No, he hasn't. 2 by 2 going down into turn 1. Last of the late breakers, I believe. Cars Competition, no, they are going to lose out. As I said, they're still going side by side. This is going to be a drag race down to Eau Rouge. Who is going to be the first there? I think it is going to be Kairos Competition, although to be fair, the Corvette is very quick in a straight line. Are they going to go 2 by 2? They're not. And Perfect Vision Racing does back out eventually. So that was Aiden Shadbolt, but what a move. That was perfectly set. To be fair, that took a good... As they say that, what on earth happened there? That was, unfortunately, Kairos Competition, so I'm not too sure what happened there, but that was a massive moment down the Kemble Straight. How you have a moment there? Obviously, you must have tapped a wheel on the grass and the car sent round, so again, potentially just not quite confident where the track limits were, but we hopefully may get a replay of that. But I mean, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that in a race before there, Sam.
That's insane. I can only, my first instinct was that he did a Marco Barbanera and looked at his an app that he's got running, maybe his fuel app, or his maybe he's running SDK Gaming, and he got distracted by that, and he's just kind of driven off the circuit. Is it that? Yeah, he's just got distracted, and very fortunate, and he was lucky as well that Aiden Shadbolt had quite a poor run through Radion, and being able to get back cars. You can see how he's already pulled away Cars Competition. 238 are the championship leaders in the amateur category, 8th overall in the championship. It's been a perfect season for them. After a difficult qualifying, it looked like it might be getting away from them. 2nd place now in those amateur teams, and it's looking good for them to extend their championship lead at the moment. Indeed.
I mean, to be fair, like I said, as you were saying there, Sam, Kairos Competition really doing well. So you've got, as you said, they're 8th overall currently in the standings, and then you've got Ignium Motorsports, who are currently P2 in the AM standings, but they are all the way down in 16th. So it just goes to show how much Kairos Competition are really punching above their weight. Like I said, 8th overall is very impressive indeed, as we see the Performance Link Esports still on the baton for P16. However, Pro Academy SimSport as well, not too far behind. So this battle is really going to hot up in the next few minutes, I'm sure. Again, we could very well be seeing some moves down at Leku. Again, it just needs to make sure the drivers need to really see. That was Pro Academy getting a little bit wide. So Kev Copeland going a little bit wide on the entry. Could be getting on the power a little bit too soon. The car is just promoting a bit of understeer. But at the moment, this is the battle for P2, both the AAA cars. I wonder what's going to happen here then, Sam. This is going to be interesting. Are there going to be team orders in play here, do you reckon? Or is it just going to be these guys are going to be going for it 110%?
Well, you'd think that there would be team orders, wouldn't you? Because 13 points at the moment, AAA are lacking to Wild Animals. If it finished like this, it would pretty much be even going into the final rounds of the championship. And so I imagine AAA Project X will be the rear gunner to AAA 162 for this race. That's surely the only thing that they can do. So far, they have worked well as a team. Yes, it certainly could play into AAA's hands that they've got a co-team, whereas Wild Animals do not have a co-team. So certainly something to think about. Gap to Manatee, it's going down, it's increasing at a slower rate. It's still 4/10 a lap faster, Manatee. Incredible pace being set by them at the moment in the 179. But remember, AAA and AAA Wild Animals, the two teams going for the championship. with an outside chance for Vulcan Sim Racing at the moment running in 10th position. So no changes this time. Also, Powell pretty close to Kopanov still. But I think he's just been overtaken by Kopanov, so he's just happy to let his rival go for now. And we'll try to follow in the slipstream over the next few laps. A bit further back, might be good to watch the Pro Academy Pro. There we go. Exactly, we're thinking the same thing there. I think Bob Humphrey momentarily gained that position, and now there's contact between him and Chris Van der Nesse, two returning drivers to the series. Van der Nesse, former podium sitter, Bob Humphrey, multiple race winner, and now they're very defensive, and this is going to lose them a whole heap of time. They're miles behind the cars who they were previously racing with, and it is Performance Link who at the moment have the advantage.
Yeah, I think these two guys at the moment need to, I think, really get their heads down and work together at this point. They're going to try and catch up with Pro Academy Sim Sport, because the gap is now just moved up to 2.5 seconds. So they really do need to be careful. As I say that, there is definitely no love lost between these two drivers. They're going to be fighting all the way down the Kemmel Straight going into Lake Coombe. Who is going to be last of the late breakers? I believe the move is already done. So Bob Humphrey making that move going down into Lake Coombe. He just needs to take that defensive line. But we see there that, oh, again, a little bit of contact. That's just gone from bad to worse for these two drivers. So a bit of contact going out of the bus stop and contact as well going through Lacombe. That was a big, big shame for those two guys. And we've got damage to Bob's Humphrey's Porsche. You can see the rear wing has now dropped down at the right-hand side. So there's going to be some definite aero damage. How much is that going to hurt him? I don't really know. It's probably going to lose him at least 5 or 6 Ks down Kemmel Straight without a tow. So unfortunately, that's just gone really, really quite badly for Bob Humphrey. Definitely the worst out of the two from that contact there.
Yeah, no, it was similar to the DRS wave Italy incident earlier on, where kind of one car gets ahead of the other, but then they're still alongside, and maybe Humphrey could have offered a bit more room, or maybe also ambitious from their rivals. Tricky to tell from that angle, but hopefully there's no steering damage. If there isn't, then they'll be slow over the next 3 minutes, but of course then we'll be able to pick up the faster pair, and I'll be quick in the second half of the race when, of course, John Tressida takes over that car. Further back, this is a bit of a chain forming up. Joe Ferguson leading this Scale Freak chain. It's like Scale Electrics at the moment. That's a terrible analogy, but it is the best I can come up with. He's going to be overtaken, I think, by a few cars here. He's got XP Motorsports -10. Then he's got Fuga Simsport with Arctic Godsig very quick in 33rd place. You can see they are a pro team, and also Vulcan Sim Racing, the 177, also a pro team. As Fuga Simsport have crashed at Eau Rouge. Gosh, that's a big one.
I know, I think Wild Animals was unfortunately caught up in that as well, so they've had a bit of a moment, I think, by the looks of it. We're going to have a replay here. So we've got Dmitry Kofanov for Wild Animals. I'm not entirely sure what happened here. For some reason, I'm not getting the replay at the moment.
It just seemed as though too wide into Eau Rouge, and that's what can happen. If anything, I don't know. I wonder if we get another angle from that. Maybe even like a chopper view or something. I'm not even sure what view we were watching it before. I think we were watching TV3 before, but maybe from behind we could see what was going on. Because I'm not sure who came across on who. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they could have both offered more room. I guess in a scenario like that, you kind of getting ready for the impact. But that is huge for the championship then. So Wild Animals championship leaders down to 12th place, and will surely have to make an additional pit stop. You can't go to the end of the race from here. And whilst Kofanov has got his minimum drive time done, they'll have a meatball, and so they will have to come into the pits, and this is going to lose them probably about probably about 25 seconds. So certainly 20 seconds having to go down the pit lane, one extra time compared to everyone else.
Well, no, I mean, to be fair, you can see that at the moment, when they actually straight up going through Blanchimont, you've seen how tentative they're having to be as well, but you see the amount of right-hand down that they're just putting on, just to keep the car in a straight line. I think, to be fair, Sam, unfortunately, this has obviously lost them out in terms of good positions and some good gates. They're still carrying on. Interestingly enough, I'm surprised they didn't jump in the pits. So why they must seem to think that they can carry on until the pit stop to try and minimise that time. I suppose now they've really got to see is what the lap times are going to be. Are they going to lose 20 seconds in terms of a pit stop? Are they going to actually lose less if they carry on until the pit stop actually happens and when they need to pit? I'm guessing they're going to try and go until the point where they can change the, get the fuel done to the end. I'm guessing that's what they're trying to do. But I mean, wow, fair play for Dimitri if he's going to try and carry on and drive that car like that, because I don't think I'd be able to.
Yeah, that's very risky from them as we see that's contact with Aaron Powell going off the circuit. There he goes. So USR 148 up into 6th place. That's Tom McMahon. He's gained he's gained massively from all of that. So too is Luke McCohen for Vulcan Sim Racing, 3rd place in the championship, remember, Vulcan Sim Racing. And they are doing very well. And also a bit of an instant further back now with Mick Anderson. And he is on the tail of the Indy Esports car just had. But yeah, Igor Assan getting a bunch of places, Vulcan Sim Racing getting a bunch of places as well. I think you're absolutely right about them just trying to continue Wild Animals continuing until they can get the fuel in. But in order to get to the end of the race, you're probably going to have to go till about minute 34. And I doubt with a meatball flag you'll get disqualified within a few laps, as Adam Coles has a big old moment on the brakes and he loses about 4 positions, went for an ambitious overtake, and he drops down to 36.
That was a bit of a shame from Adam. I think he just drifted a little bit wide onto the brakes there, and as he started to come off the brakes, he still had a bit of lock. Actually, turn obviously trying to avoid. I believe that was one of the that was the Vulcan Sim Racing car. So again, just trying to avoid that car on the inside of LeCun. And yeah, just as he rolled off the brakes, car rotated around. Managed to save it though, so no damage by the looks of it to the car. So he is going to be carrying on and trying to make up those positions again. But in P33, Mick Anderson for Vulcan Sim Racing at the moment trying to fend off the M-Sign Simortal car in the number 110 Porsche. Again, 2 cracking liveries, really, really good stuff. There are some mega liveries here. So Dean Powell currently behind the wheel of the 110 Porsche. Again, trying to make a move, can't quite seem to do it yet. I think Dirty Air is going to be affecting them ever so slightly, but I suppose at the moment they're going to be trying to save some fuel as well. See if they can get a little bit of extra time saved in the pits. Then they may potentially make a move going into bus stop. It depends how they run they get out of Blanchimont. It seems to be okay. They got to make sure that they actually make sure they hit the braking mark and they don't go sending a little bit too far into bus stop. But at the moment, I believe Chorus Competition Apollo at the moment separating the two, the 177 and the 110. So no, cracking racing from these guys. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, really close between those teams at the moment. Here is Wild Animals. I think, are they catching up? No, they've just lost out to Gazaholics then. So at the moment, Wild Animals are losing about 2.5 seconds a lap compared to where they were before. Pits, of course, what you got to remember is that the pit stop doesn't lose you any time, is it? Because obviously they're not going to change drivers necessarily at their next pit stop. They don't have to take any extra fuel. It's literally just that extra transit down the pit lane. And this is quite a short pit lane, pit lane, because you cut the first corner. So I think going down the pit lane here, it's probably going to lose you about 18 seconds. So I'm really surprised that Wild Animals have stayed out there, because they're losing 2.5 seconds a lap anyway. And so if you let stay out for 5 laps, that's going to be 10 seconds anyway. And you're doubling the chances of you having a spin because you've got a damaged car. And they may have to fuel save in order to get to the end of the race. So I am very surprised that they are staying out. But if he keeps it on the road and if he keeps up this pace, it might be all right for Kofanov. As we are nearly at the 30-minute mark, we expect the cars to be able to go about 45 minutes on the tank of fuel, so he needs to go another 6 minutes in order to get to the threshold where he can get to the end of the race. Once again, he stays out one more time. Further behind, Edon Polovina. I don't think we've seen Edon too much so far. We've seen a little bit of team connection. And he is chasing down the Pure Sims food car of Morgan Butler at the moment, but 118 plays the 271. On that last lap, Polovina quite a bit faster. Actually, no, it was Butler. Yeah, Polovina slightly faster, 1/10 of a second faster. He's very much within overtaking range.
Yeah, he is. Hopefully he's going to set the move up again. I'm guessing there's going to be no moves made going up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Down the Camel Straight, you can get that run and get the toe. And last the late breakers going through Lacombe. So hopefully we are going to see that exact move here. So this is the battle for P18. Sorry, this is the battle for P19, my apologies. So as we're going to go through side by side, last late breakers going through Lacombe. Who is it going to be? I know the 40 is very, very good on the brakes. So can Eden stay round? He's going to try and make the move around the outside. Obviously switches to the inside, then back to the outside as well. Going through the next couple of corners. It's still side by side, so close to these guys. I think he's already going to make that move stick going through into Rivage. I'm not entirely sure. Again, still side by side. These two are giving each other just about enough room as they need to. Next corner is No Name, and again, still side by side. These guys have been about half a lap side by side now. It's been incredible racing from these two. Unfortunately, this is out allowing the other guys to catch back up. So you've got a go-around racing team, Ignium Motorsport, and also Pro Academy Simsport that have been trying to have the move and have a go as well. As I believe that is Ignium Motorsport going up into P21. So they're going to try and have a move and try and actually catch up to Pure Sims because they're in the class. Bear in mind, T3 are not actually, they're in the AM class. They're not in the Pro class. Pro Academy Simsport with Bob Humphrey, who had that incident earlier on, is now side by side with the go-around racing team. I think he's going to get that move done going into Stabilo. He does indeed. Wow, there has been some action in this battle here. This is really close racing. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen two cars go around Eau Rouge, go around Spa for almost half a lap side by side, Sam. What about you?
Yeah, it's very rare to see, absolutely. These whilst don't necessarily lend themselves to side by side action. You know, Road America, maybe you have a bit of that, but around this place with the kind of long radius corners, usually it's the inside car which has the advantage. But brilliant racing from the drivers. As Scott Kimbrough is next to have a go on the go-around racing team car. You can see Pro Academy, despite that crash, still keeping up some decent pace at the moment with Bob Humphrey, of course, that damaged rear wing at the moment. And it's all going to start again going down the straight. And I think it might even be worth just tuning in on Morgan Butler at the front of this, because I think he's going to be the one who's most under pressure for Pure Sims 3. T3 a very good distance back there going onto the Kemmel Straight, but now look at Ignium storming through. That was a brilliant run through the Kemmel Straight, and now they might get 2 places in just a few moments here. And Pure Sims 3 a little bit slow on the inside, trying to retaliate, but it will be Ignium Motorsports who make a very good move. 2 places gained. Ooh, as they actually turn out on the corner there. I think they suddenly saw the Pure Sims Dream car coming back at them, and all their good work has been undone and some, because now they are going to lose a position to the they're going to lose a position to the Pro Academy Simsports team. You move up into 21st position, so very good racing. Morgan Butler survived for now for Pure Sims Dream, but it's only a matter of time until he's under pressure once more.
Indeed, so currently riding on the main screen now, we've got Ignium Motorsport, who are at the moment in the middle of this battle for P19. I think lap on lap, this changes. It could be, I think at the moment, we've got Pure Sims Stream that are having a bit of a free pass at the moment. They did get that really quite poor exit going up through Radion, so that really hurt them going through Kemmel Straight. But at the moment, they seem to have got it all together, and they're now back leading this trade in P19. But Ignium Motorsport going to be trying to set to move up for Pro Academy Simsport. They want to stay on the back of them. They don't want them to drop off. So Bob Humphrey managing the damage very, very well. You can see, I think this is now where the aero is starting to affect him. He's not that quick, and they're going to go side by side through Blanchimont. That is a very, very brave move from both drivers. Doesn't quite get the move stuck. So Bob Humphrey still in the lead, but this is where, like I said, down the Kemmel Straight and down the back straight through Blanchimont, this is where the aero is hurting him. He's probably losing 5 or 6 Ks at least. And obviously, because he hasn't got that much of a toe either, that's hurting him as well. But he stays at the moment in P21. Is Ignium going to have a look? He darts to the inside to try and have a look going through La Source. Doesn't quite make it stick. But yeah, Bob Humphrey managing very, very well. As this at the moment is the battle for P5. P6, sorry. My apologies.
Yeah, that was just either side defending then from Vulcan Sim Racing. I could see McMahon back at the front because he's been a bit vacant so far this season. Remember, Tom McMahon, 2-time Apex Racing League GT champion, and the quality of driving this season has been incredible. So the cut-off between the professional and the amateur drivers is at about 2,800 iRating, and obviously the average iRating in iRacing is less than 1,500, it's about 1,300. So this is an incredibly high quality order, and so EVSR with that defending champion Tom McMahon, who's won the past 2 seasons in these GTE cars, just unable to quite put that same challenge this season, but having his best race of the season at the moment in 6th place. Vulcan Sim Racing, 3rd place in the championship. They would move up to 2nd place in the championship, I believe. No, I think they would still be just behind Wild Animals if it ended like this, but if something else happened to Wild Animals, then they might be able to move up into 2nd place in the championship by the checkered flag. There is the Wild Animals car, and they've actually been overtaken by Cars Competition 238, which is now displaying as a pro team. They are an amateur team. I'll have to try to figure out why it's doing that. Although it seems like it's just the Vulcan teams which are wrong. That Cars Competition car leader in the amateur class in the championship as they all lock up a bit. And finally, Kofanov comes into the pits. This is seemingly the earliest you can come into the pits and still get to the end of the race.
I was about to say, Dmitry Kofanov is probably so relieved to finish. As much as I'm sure he does enjoy driving this Porsche 911 GTE car, I'm sure he is relieved to jump in the pit. So yes, they're obviously going to try and get the car fully repaired, get back out on the circuit. But yeah, I mean, fair play to those guys fair play to Dmitry for keeping that car on the track, considering the instance that he did have. But at the moment, this is the battle still raging on between Evo SR and Vulcan Sim Racing. Again, Vulcan Sim Racing still can't quite get past, so Evo doing an incredible job defending. So Luke McCann still can't quite get past Tom McMahon. I think, to be fair, that double-time champion, I think, from Tom, this driving is starting to show through. He's just putting his car exactly where it needs to be, isn't he, Sam? And at the moment, he's still pulling, he's actually pulling a bit of a gap. The gap's gone up to half a second, so he pulled 2/10. So he is very much still got some pace in that car, I think, as well. But also, it just goes to show as we just now go through, this is the battle for P17. So at the moment, focusing, we've got Till Bain in the WS Racing Esports car. Again, in the middle of a go-around racing team and SCS Motorsports sandwich. He goes a little bit deep going into Rivage. It seems to get the car all straightened up and going through again. No Name car, to be fair, that BMW is looking very loose on the exit of corners. It looked okay through No Name, as we've now got Scott Kimbrough on board. But yeah, just going out of Rivage, that BMW looked really loose. So not too sure if that's a setup thing, as we've got Scott going a little bit wide, going through Puon. Yeah, and that's potentially put him to the clutches of Ignium Motorsport. They're going to be looking to make a move. So there is just action absolutely everywhere, isn't there, Sam?
There sure is. Apologies if maybe you're part of the fan club for one of the teams, but and we're not showing their battle. But yeah, as you say, Dan, there's so much going on. It's tricky to keep hold of all of it. Till Bain, though, what drive it has been for him, for WS Racing, spinning at the end of the first lap, must have been down outside the top 35. And he's up into 20th. They might be up into 19th place soon. Go Around Racing Team have been dropping back slightly since their starts. They keep their butts in, pick up a 1x. Remember, 25 will cause you a drive. I'll try to keep an eye on that as the race goes on. But they much later on the brakes. He does seem very confident on the brakes in that BMW. And he does get past, as we also see SCS Motorsports come into the pit. Just behind. Maybe not quite with this one sorted yet. And he's too deep on the brakes this time. He was pushing it hard. BMW is a quick car down the straights, however. Now, the last time we saw Cybertire going into Road Rouge, it didn't end too well. Guys, you may want to evaluate this. And they do. That was smart from Go-Around Racing. To be fair, still gets a good run. The overtake might still be a possibility going into Lacoon, but look at the momentum behind. The Ignium Motorsports storming up to the back of these two. He's going to get at least one. And now the BMW tries to block in the Porsche. And Ignium might not get anything from this after all. T3 very wide. That was very odd for a T3 there. Seemingly a hardware issue, I can only imagine, because randomly running very wide at Lacoon.
Yeah, potentially a little bit, maybe some hardware issues, maybe brake pedal not working very well or something. Could again just be the fact that they're carrying so much more overspeed just weren't just a little bit caught out with the braking zone, especially if you're carrying another, like I said, 10Ks down the straight. Your braking zone is definitely not the same. And as we've just got now, so Artem Grabo has now got on the cart of the Wild Animals car, unfortunately all the way down in 31st position. Although, to be fair, they have pitted early. Not really very many people else have pitted yet. It's just got and the top of the timing screen. Look at that, a 2:12.4 from Maniti Racing. So amazing pace from these guys. But now that Wild Animals have got a fully functioning car again, hopefully provided no other issues from them, they are really going to see, we're really going to see some mega laps from these guys, because they are going to be on a mission. And Artem's going to be on an absolute mission to try and get back up the fields. He goes a little bit wide through P1 again. We've seen a couple of drivers now get caught out by that. Again, could be, cold tyres, full fuel, something that they're not used to. And they've got to, again, that's a very, very tricky thing that they've got to be managing of, is the fact that these guys won't be taking tyres, but they will be having a lot more fuel on board. Okay, so that is going to play into account. So you're going to see that times drop off ever so slightly for the drivers. And obviously, as the fuel burns off, it will start to pick up again. But yeah, these guys are on an absolute mission trying to make as many positions as they can. Although I don't know, Sam, is this going to be a battle that's going to be in vain for them going into the last round?
Yeah, well, it looks as though they're going to lose the championship lead. Certainly, it's quite a steep drop-off in the point system we have in this series compared to other championships. Particularly other endurance championships. Usually the point system is very generous to the drivers further down, but in this, the points for the podium positions are very lucrative, and so Grabau really does need to get at least a top 10 from this. I think he will probably be maybe 8th by the end of this race for Wild Animals, but that's not exactly what they needed after, of course, a first and a second in the first 2 rounds of the championship. And with AAA Esports currently in 2nd place, it does look as though the 162 will head into the last round of the championship ahead, but we've still got half this race to go. Can all change. AAA have worked very well as a team. They've been able to drop Pacific Sims Motorsports and also Pure Sims Esports, so about 3.5 seconds behind now. Not going to challenge Manatee Racing, as Manatee actually come into the pits. Now we think the car should be able to go 1 lap further, if they so choose, but Manatee Racing deciding to come into the pits. AAA also into the pits, but AAA Project X, because they've been in the draft for this entire event, they stay out 1 extra lap, and also Pure Sims as well stay out an extra lap.
I think we may see now. Potentially we may not do it. Depends again if as we see, obviously pretty much everyone now coming into the pits. We may see AAA Project X actually make the jump on AAA Esports. Saving that lap is very, very crucial. So I think, especially with a long lap like this, we may potentially see. I'm going to put money on it, as we've now got Florian Company driving in the AAA Project X car. I'm going to put my money on. We're going to see a driver or a team swap in position between the 2 AAA cars. So I'm putting my, putting my money where my mouth is. I'm going to see if that is the case. But yeah, it's amazing. Saving the amount of fuel and saving as much fuel that you can around Spa, it will make a difference. So at the moment, they are only one of 3 cars. So you've got AAA Project X, you've got Pure Sims Esports, and Maniti Racing, who have just come out of the pits. But these are one of the very few cars that have managed to go that extra lap. So it goes to show how much fuel they have actually saved by sitting behind their teammate.
A very odd situation for Pure Sims, who have gone straight through the pits. That wasn't a drive-through, they had 16 incidents. I can only imagine they missed their pit stall in Pure Sims, which is a shame, because I think they entered this round of the championship in 4th place. And it looks like they might get a top 5, but they've just gone down the pit lane. No, sorry, I am being incredibly thick. They just didn't come into the pits. Apologies everyone. I should get a brain test, see if I have one. But 4 seconds behind, so I thought they came into the pits, but it was clearly someone else that came into the pits. But certainly AAA Project X and Pure Sims will be in on this lap. And I think you're right about AAA Project X getting the jump, but they will surely let their teammates back past, even if it's on the last lap, even if it's a very much a we beat you guys, but we're just going to give you the points. one would expect that they will eventually give up that position in order for the championship, as the final 2 cars do come into the pits. And yeah, this is the moment of truth. And let's see if Pure Sims as well can get ahead of Pacific Sim Sports, because they were very close as well for 4th and 5th.
I know this is going to be interesting. This is the battle in the pits. It's amazing how much the pit stops can take into effect. But yeah, so Pure Sims Esports and AAA in the pits now, taking the fuel that they need to get them to the end of the race. So this is Pacific Sim Motorsport. Just going through, coming down into Blanchimont. This, I imagine, will be a flat-out corner for them pretty much now. Track is really rubbing in quite nicely. I'm sure at this point they've got no draft in front of them. There's going to be no error drop from them. So I imagine, yeah, Blanchimont is completely flat out for these guys. But we're going to be watching them going through into La Source. Where are they going to come out? And where are Pure Sims Esports going to come out? They've just gone on pit exit. So AAA Esports have now, and yes, indeed, so AAA Project X have got the jump by a good 5 or 6 seconds, as you can see there. Actually, maybe not that, so apologies. It's about 3.5 seconds. I'm getting a little bit too carried away there. Yeah, like I said, I'll take that. So yeah, AAA Project X, it's amazing, and this is a really good example for how saving fuel, team orders or not, can really help you in terms of track position there, so.
Yeah, I think AAA miles ahead, and the 163 miles ahead. The 162 must have had a really bad outlap, because the gap to Andy Shield for Pure Sims Esports, who did get ahead of the Simsport, by the way, has gone from about 3.5 seconds to 1.8 seconds. So was there a bad sector? Yeah, there were really just underwhelming sectors. Really bad sectors for any reason, actually. Maybe he's just the slower driver. I'm not sure. At the same time, AAA have had very good strength in depth, because that lap last time out was just boring. They lost 1.2 seconds in sector 5, and that's pretty much just the final chicane. Is that one? So Kenny Hughes was with a poor outlap, and now AAA Project X, do they go after Manatee? Do they try to pick up the pieces if Manatee make a mistake? Or do they now slow down and allow AAA Esports, the team who are going for the championship, to pick up those extra points? I guess we'll find out by the end of the race. Other changes down there, I think it stayed fairly similar. Buga staying behind Vulcan Sim Racing in 7th and 8th. Mercury Esports still in 10th place. Yeah, not too many changes down the order at the moment. I'm not seeing any long pit stops for any teams. Pure Sims Green with a slightly longer pit stop, but only a few seconds longer. So yeah, really not too many changes at the pit stop. But of course now in the second half of the race, brand new drivers in the car, and we might see the order start to shake up a bit.
We could very well do. As we've got there, that's Jako Boshov that's had a moment for Ignium Motorsport, the number 126 car. So big shame from him. That looks to be out of Puon. So I'm sure we're going to get a replay of that. But yeah, a bit of a shame. If it is out of Puon, I'm guessing it could just be a little bit, maybe a late turn, and you might find a wheel that goes over the curb and it's just sent the car around. So a bit unfortunate from those guys. I think they have got some damage as well. Again, Sam, if you could step in, because the replays for some reason seem to not be working for myself.
Yeah, he's gone down into Puon. It's not well, he was already sliding, and then gets a helping hand, and then hard into the wall. That could be steering damage. I think Boschov might get away with that one. But he has lost a lot of places, and Ignium, just as they did at Silverstone, they finished 19th and 20th I think, with that occupation. They're now 25th and 26th, so they always seem to find one another on track, albeit now the 126 is a while back on 229. They've overshot this chicane as well. Science and Morton cars. Not sure what happened to Science and Morton. Anyone who's been following their race, let us know in the YouTube chat about what happened to Science and Morton. But I think they started from the pits. Oh, Stanley makes a mistake. Got Stanley, of course, runner-up last season in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Is slightly faster than his teammate D. Issue at the start of the race. Otherwise, I'm sure they'd be fighting for a top 10 right now, just pulling ahead of Vulcan Sim Racing in the 177. Apparently, the battle for 13th is very good. Guys, is it that good? Kevin Finn, he's kind of by himself. I don't know if the people in the YouTube comments are saying imaginary cars, but I don't see many cars, man. Maybe they just got overtaken by wild animals. That's what I imagine has happened. Ireland was now up into 12th position, 43 seconds off the lead. But you can see from the timing board, they've got quite a bit to gain now to gain any more places.
Yeah, they have indeed. I'm just looking. So Artem's putting in some relatively good lap times. You know, his last lap was a 2:13.8, so quicker than a lot of the field, actually, to be fair. All the way up to P6, he was quicker than. So, you know, Artem's putting in some very, very good lap times. Yeah, the gap is a good 5 seconds, 6 seconds to Evo SR, and then another 4 seconds on to Valkyrie Esports. So they are going to have to really get the hammer down for the remainder of this race. But, again, good grill seed. This could all very change up. We have seen how that the race can throw a spanner in the works, as we saw at Daytona for round 1. It can throw a spanner in the works in the last 200 meters. So, you know, anything can happen. Let's not put anything out just yet. But this is the battle for P4. So we got Pacific Sim Motorsport going to get the run on Pure Sims Esports, and they seem to be already having the move done going into Lake Coombe. It's going to be who is going to break the latest, both Corvettes. So it is neck and neck in terms of car. And I believe that is Christopher Beats making the move up into P4 for Pacific Sim Motorsport. That was a pretty straightforward move. I think at the moment, Pure Sims, at this point, we're just like, let them go. Let's not battle too hard. They don't want to drop off too much. They don't allow any guys to catch up behind them. I know the gap is 10 seconds, but still, if they are battling, that gap can come down very, very quickly indeed. So I think at the moment, Pure Sims are maybe going to set themselves up for another move going through and actually maybe do a carbon copy of what Pacific Sim Motorsport did to them just now.
Yeah, it was so long to go in the race, and I think she'll realise that he was slower, and I think you're right, maybe try to come back later on with that same move, albeit he's struggling to stay close to the middle part of the lap. She'll very experienced driver, World GT driver, and got very wide up the Kemmel Straight. Backs out of it, does the SCS Motorsports car, and it was Ignium Motorsports who got that move done. Ignium with an upturn of pace. Remember, their teammates spun, so they gained a place there, but Navid Hussein doing very well at the moment. Yeah, driving very well for Ireland. And he's got Alvaro Cedillo just ahead for Go Around Racing Team, who I feel bad for Go Around Racing Team because they do seem to have been, whenever we seem to catch up on Go Around, they seem to be overtaken. And I think that's going to be the same case. Fabian Meyer at T3 Esports may well be going with him. These two, or the 4 amateur teams, all line astern at the moment. By the way, for second position at the moment, we've still got AAA Project X ahead of AAA, but the gap came down significantly a couple of laps ago. It came down by about 2 seconds, so it seems though Project X kind of slowed up and let the other team catch up. But then the gap's gone back up to 1.1 seconds, so it seems like the Project X car is faster, but they kind of want to give that place to AAA Esports, but they need to be careful that Pacific Sim Sports, who are very rapid at the moment in 4th place, don't catch up to them.
No, very, very true indeed. Yeah, they've got to make sure that they just hit the markers, hit the lap times, and do what they need to do. So I'm sure we're going to see some, again, team orders, are they going to play into account, as we have been speaking about between the 2 AAA cars? I'm sure they will be. Again, be interesting to see. Be interesting to see what happens. At the moment, this is the battle for P18, although having said that, the gap has dropped off a little bit. The gap is now just gone up to just under a second. Actually, as I said, it's just over a second. So losing a little bit of pace there. They did have some, it was a very, very close battle towards the beginning, to the first half of the last lap, and it has since gone a little bit wider. But at the moment, Performance Link Esports, you got Tom Bingham is on the hunt for the Pro Academy SimSport car, the number 269. This is a battle for position in class as well. So this is going to be one that's going to hot up, providing that Tom can keep the laps coming. He is going to catch up. And at the moment, he's been catching up a little bit. Although I say that, the gap has sort of stabilized a little bit now. We've got Joseph Saul in the 269 Ferrari for Pro Academy SimSport. Be interesting to see this battle develop over the next few laps. Only 26 minutes left. It's just under 26 minutes. So I'm sure there are going to be people that are going to make it a little bit more, how should we say, assertive moves, I think, Sam, is the best way to put it, shall we say.
Yeah, if you can make a move. Ooh,
whoa!
It's Vulcan Sim Racing. one of the championship contenders. They had a chance of moving up into second place in the championship, but Mohamed Janko has made a big mistake. And since Janko made his debut midway through the Apex Racing League GT Season 3, he has not made many mistakes. He's such a consistent driver from what we've seen, but he's made a mistake here. And I'm not sure if it's kind of is his fault. I think he was coming across the Fuga car. Oh, so had he just been overtaken by Mads Gravson, I wonder, for Fuga Simsport? And then having that big off, yeah. So Fuga Simsport's getting ahead. And that is a big disappointment right there for Mohamed Janko. In fact, I think he'd been struggling since he got in the car because they'd dropped back. And meanwhile, the other Vulcan Sim Racing car comes in. So terrible news right now for Vulcan Sim Racing. But that's could be quite big for the championship. That has promoted. No, it has promoted Arts and Grabau for Wild Animals up into 11th place. So Wild Animals up into 11th, and with Pacific Sim Motorsports catching up to AAA Esports, albeit they didn't catch up on that last lap, but on the most part they have been faster. Maybe things slightly shifting to the 1-2-7 at the moment. It would be very close in points between Wild Animals and AAA, but certainly that mistake from Vulcan Sim Racing, their first mistake of the season, certainly perhaps ended their chances at the title, albeit I believe they are still P3 in the title hunt.
Yeah, interesting to see, the next 24 minutes. Interesting to see how this plays out. Again, I think it already pivots around now what these two guys are going to do. So we got the both AAA cars, Benjamin Lessons and Kenny Brusen, respectively. So, yeah, it's really going to come down to what happens with these. I think that, the championship standings are going to be so close. Wild Animals just need to make as many positions as they can, and basically as quickly as they can. I know the gap is still quite considerable to the Evo SR car, but they just need to make sure that, I suppose we've seen there, they've already gained another, that's a free position for them. So if they get a couple more of these, they could still be, it's going to be close, but they could still be within a very good shot of leading this championship, or actually being in a title or in a championship winning contention position going into the last round. They have not made it easy for themselves. I think we can both agree on that, Sam, but it's still going to come down to the last race.
Yeah, you think that as the person who wrote the rules and set the point scoring system up, I would know it off by heart, but I'm not 100% sure. I just know it will be close as AAA do move ahead. So, before I thought it was maybe the Project X car just giving the Esports car a slight tow. Now they feel as though the 162 is the first car that they should be leading. They have been able to drop Pacific Simsport slightly in recent times, so it is looking that much better for them. But yeah, it's a close one. It is a close one for the championship. Could be brilliant going into Suzuka, of course, the final meeting of the season. And well, that's a pretty good circuit to end off the season. We usually try to go to iconic circuits to finish off the championship, and that is certainly the definition of an iconic circuit. In the lead of the amateur category, by the way, is currently class competition 238. We got some Kairos fans in the chat. If they could let us know how they managed to get ahead of Razaholics earlier on, that would be appreciated, because they are now 5 seconds ahead, and I do recall them overtaking them on circuit. But Kevin Finn is ahead anyway. They pit on the same lap? Yeah, they pitted on the same lap. But yeah, Kevin Finn for Kairos competition got ahead of Razaholics, and Kairos are looking at their 3rd amateur win of the season, and they would have the amateur category almost sewn up with a round to go. Even though there's no job score, they would be looking very good. Albeit they have now got Vulcan Sim Race, who are not an amateur team, sitting behind them, and they're getting held up a little bit by a back mark as well, because Vulcan Sim Racing, with that spin earlier on, they're just trying to recover one of the places that they lost.
Indeed, yeah, I think at the moment, Kairos need to at some point they're going to have to let Wild Animals get by. That's very brave through Blanchimont. Wow, that was very close indeed. I don't think there could have been any more. I don't think the cars could have been any closer than that. Could have been very nasty indeed. As we've got Go Around Racing Team have gone around. That looks to be going out of. I'm trying to think, that could very well be coming out of Puon. So not the ideal place to spin. That was probably a hard place. Again, Sam, if you could step in for me to that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, so the Pure Sims Dream car gets past, and then I'm not sure whose fault that was. That was the Ignium Motorsports car, Navid Hussein, making up another place. But at the expense of his rival, Alvaro now down into 28th position. But it seems like all these incidents that we have, the cars always get away with it. It's like it's like the soldier from. But just keep on getting some damage and then managing to get back going again. Cedillo, unfortunately, back into the pits, so it sounds like the damage was a bit more severe. Comes back into the pits and will use his fast repair as normal as he used it already. Same situation as we saw earlier on. Pure Sims 3 at the front of a train, and Ignium Motorsports trying to get past and momentarily ducking out of the draft and then ducking back in, trying to generate the momentum. And that is an easy move. The Porsche, much faster. That might be a car thing, it might be a setup thing, but that was very easy. Down the Camel Straight, and Pure Sims 3 dropped to 21st, Ignium Motorsports up into 20th.
Yeah, good stuff there from Ignium Motorsport. Again, just utilising. They may have a slightly less. They may have dropped the wing down a couple of clicks to try and gain that. In terms of qualifying, obviously it would benefit you a little bit, maybe not so much, but in the race, actually making positions, especially with the Camel's Rep being so long and you're carrying so much speed, a couple of clicks down on the wing is always going to be beneficial. You're running a slightly less aero. And as we saw there, I think, just sort of almost drove past them. Didn't think, it didn't actually look like they'd really needed the tow. Obviously it did help, but I don't think it really needed to actually make that much of a difference. But Pure Sims Stream are coming back now. This can actually very well be where they start to drop off in terms of pace. So Pure Sims Stream do have the advantage. We've got a really good onboard shot here, all over the back of the Ignium Motorsport car, getting very close indeed, going through Stavolo. So are they going to try and keep the exit clean? A little bit of a moment, managed to keep it all in check. So again, going through Blanchimont. Now this is going to be hopefully flat out potentially for Calvin Dent. As long as he can get that turning point right, this should be a flat out. We're going to see as he goes through, does he lift or does he keep it flat? I mean, a very slight lift, if anything, could have been nothing at all. But yeah, Ignium Motorsport definitely seem to be very quick on the straight lines. We've got a car off through the bus stop. I'm not entirely sure who that was. I believe that was Kieran Chadwell for Perfect Vision Racing. Seemed to have a spin at the bus stop. It didn't look like he was with anyone. So it could have just been just some rotation on the brakes there. But a bit unlucky for him, unless I am mistaken, but it did look like he was off track going through bus stop there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe an over-rotation or something. Shadbolt lost, he lost a lot of time. He lost about 8 seconds doing that. So, that's really set back quite a bit. Here we go again. T3 moving past this time. Pure Sims, he seemed like a sitting duck, to be honest, down these straights. But this time, the overspeed isn't so large, and actually the C8 holding its own. T3 can't get the overspeed, can't go around the outside, and will have to try another time. So maybe Ignium have just set that car up to be lightning down the straights, kind of got rid of the wing. You can see it visually, the amount of downforce that the drivers are pressing in, particularly on the Formula 3.5 cars. It's quite a nice feature that iRacing do where you can see the skinniness of the rear wing. It's not totally obvious in these cars because I think like the default width is different for each of the cars. So it's not totally fair reflection. Of course, the rear wing isn't the only drag effect. But it gives you a little bit of an idea as Perfect Vision are dropping down the order. Kieran Shadbolt, he was having a good race, all of a sudden down to 22nd place. Meanwhile, Mark Hutchinson having to hold back Wild Animals, and they make contact. And that is a second incident of the day for Wild Animals. And I'm not sure whose fault it was. Mark Hutchinson hits the wall. They were having a good race in the 173 car, and will have to nurse that car home as we see what happened. The Wild Animals car, much faster, of course. And he looks to the inside. And there's already a bit of contact between the two of them. Now the Ebro car gets ahead. And from that perspective, I'll reserve comments. I'll let the stewards decide on who, if there is a penalty for that one or not. But Wild Animals up into 10th place now, but they've got 6 seconds to catch up to Valkyrie, so it seems as though 10th place will be as far as they get.
Yeah, I know, a bit of a shame there. Obviously, with that little bit of contact. Yeah, I just think, yeah, again, similar to you, Sam, I'll reserve comments, but, you know, also a car can't really disappear. At the end of the day, that's sort of that's all really I'm going to say about that. But moving on, this is the battle for P12 Vulcan Sim Racing and Kairos Competition. Not actually a battle for class, but Kairos Competition leading currently the AM class in the 238 Porsche. And Vulcan Sim Racing making some positions up from the earlier instance that they have had. So yes, currently P12 overall. About 3.8 seconds off of the back of the Evo SR car. Although, to be fair, we've got Mark Hutchinson. Is going to be riding some damage, obviously with a little bit of contact he had with the ball out of the exit of the bus stop. So going to be interesting to see if that time does come down, although it doesn't seem to be at the moment. Yeah, Wild Animals really need to now get the hammer down. So up to P10 again. That sort of every single position they're gaining, every single point that they gain is a point closer to the ultimate championship that they so desperately want. Like I said earlier on, they've definitely not made it easy for themselves. But at the moment, the gap is around 6 seconds to Valkyrie Esports. I'm also looking at the timings, and I don't know whether it's going to be enough with 15 minutes left to go. It could very well be, because Wild Animals have had some really good pace, pulling in sometimes almost 1.2, 1.3 seconds on the guys in front. So I'm very interested to see what Artem can do. So Bruno Aguirre is currently the next car in his sight. So I think come the next 15 minutes, if Wild Animals can really get the hammer down and get some good laps in, that's going to be a very close battle indeed.
Taj Edwards on the track for Fuga Sim Sports. Hasn't been a great day for Fuga tonight, albeit the 191, despite a collision earlier on. Still running well in 8th place. By the way, just looking at the points, so at the moment, AAA would gain 19 points. The gap was 13 points before the race started, so it'd be 6 points in favour of AAA, albeit, as this is a goal, look at it, all 3 wide into the second part of the chicane, that's not going to work. That was Vulcan Sim Racing with a move, which worked. JP Gendron is well out of position. Very fast driver is JP, trying to move up, and also Daniel Lee well out of position, so some very good drivers around this part of the circuit. But yeah, going into the final round stretch at the moment, it looks like it's going to be 6 points in favour of AAA Esports, albeit I imagine AAA are below the 15 incident, whereas I would be very surprised if Wild Animals are below it. So I imagine it will probably be more like 11 points going into the final round of the championship, which would is a couple of positions different. So certainly, if just a couple more places for Wild Animals would be very advantageous. But M Science Immortal in 25th place. Still some positions available for them. They've got Pure Sims Free a little bit further up the road as well. And maybe even Fabian Meyer as well for T3 Esports. So we could see a 6-car battle for those places by the end. But certainly Perfect Vision look like they're falling down the order. Kieran Shadbolts on that last lap was a second slower than these drivers. But whilst they're battling behind him, he can maybe make a break for it. Vulcan Sim Racing round the outside of Fuga Sim Sports, and he makes that move. There goes Daniel Lee now down the inside, but wasn't quite on it. Straight away, Shadbolts lost that advantage though. He is much slower than these drivers, and Vulcan Sim Racing already going for the move. It's getting feisty in these closing stages, and there's a car, and somehow damage is minimal between that. Good reactions from the Fuga and the M-Science Immortal car.
That was very, indeed, Sam, very well reacted. I don't think Danny Lee could have got any closer to the back of the Perfect Vision of Kieran's Corvette without making contact. So I don't think he made contact anywhere. It looked to be that Kieran had already gone sideways before that point. So we've got the battle at the moment for P25. We've got SES and Kairos Competition. This is the battle for the AM classes. We've got, that is Kairos Competition for Emil Winbo taking back the lead, I believe that is, of the AM class. So Emil with a very, very good move going into the bus stop. It was clean this time. There was luckily no contact made, so both drivers just giving enough room So again, it's very, very good stuff indeed. Back on board, so with Vulcan Sim Racing and what is it, with Kairos Competition. So at the moment, again, Kairos is really hounding the back of Vulcan Sim Racing. Like I said, this is not actually for position in terms of class. It's for position on track, but it's not for position in class. You've got Vulcan Sim Racing in the Pro class and Kairos Competition in the AM class, although, as we have seen before, a top display from the leading Kairos Competition car, they are really getting stuck in. Currently P13 overall.
Yeah, so far has a 10th and a 14th have Kairos, so a 13th or preferably a 12th, guys. That would satisfy my ACT if you could finish in that position, please. So yeah, slow down, Vulcan. Remember, Vulcan not an amateur team, despite the fact that they are red. That 1-2-2 signifies that they are a pro team. But Kairos very close onto the back of them. I think they got overtaken by Vulcan, but then Vulcan just haven't been able to break the job. Remember, hit the wall, and so maybe just feeling really vulnerable down the straight. Interestingly, Razaholics are catching up to these guys, 3 seconds behind now. And on that last lap, they caught by 7/10. If they keep that up, it'll be very close towards the end of the race. So Kairos might not win this race after all, and ironically, it might be them fighting over an extra position, which loses them the amateur win. But as long as they finish in the top 20, there will still be a long way clear of the opposition in the amateur class, because no one else in the amateur class so far have had 3 clean races. Everyone else has had a poor race. Meanwhile, Kairos Competition 2-3 have kept it pretty much perfect throughout. Could be a chance that I move there. Up Eau Rouge and then Radion. There's the race leader, by the way. Haven't seen him for a little while. Just at the fastest sector 4 of anyone. Did Alexander Messia, 17.5 seconds clear of Kenny Reason in the 888 Esports car. And Manatee Racing looking like they're going to win their second race of the season. And you just got to question, I guess, if they started off the season in the Porsche, could they have dominated this championship? Because today they've been totally dominant in their first race in that Porsche 911.
They have indeed. I mean, this is, again, no disrespect to the other drivers in this class, because there are some, the quality of drivers and the quality of the strength of field in these races is absolutely incredible. But, I mean, wow. These guys have just put in some dominant performances today in this Porsche. The lap times have just been absolutely incredible. They've been relentless. Bear in mind, they're mixing with traffic as well. And they're still putting an average, I'd imagine, of sort of a 2:13, a low to a mid 2:13. For example, that last lap was a 2:13.2. And again, that is at the moment one of the quickest laps, definitely in the top 3 in terms of quickest laps. And they did have some traffic in there as well. So yeah, those guys have been absolutely incredible. I think, to be fair, if they'd have stuck with the Porsche, if they'd have been in the Porsche at the start of the season, we would be talking very differently. I think about Manatee Racing, we'd be very much at this point thinking they just need to stay where they are and they'll be wrapping up the championship nice and early. But it's good, though, to be fair. It's good we've got some variation in terms of, everyone likes it to come down to the, maybe not the drivers, obviously, in the teams, but as commentators and as people watching, we love it to come down to the last race, don't we, Tim?
You really do, and certainly something I've noticed in the commentary box, you really can't have any allegiances to anyone. Even when, like, maybe some of the drivers, you do just want a close race and a close championship. And so it's surprising, because in real life motorsports, of course, you kind of support drivers, but in the commentary box, you just want as close a race as possible. Unfortunately, we haven't had a close race for the race win, but it will still be close for the championship. And of course, if AAA finish second here, as long as they finish second in the last round of the championship, they would be the champions, I believe. So they might win the championship despite not winning any of the races, albeit they would have finished in third, second, and second, which is no mean feat, I think, in any series that you enter. If you get that race results, then you're going to win whatever you do. So they've been very good. They have been able to drop AAA Project X, who looked faster at one point, but Benjamin Lescent hasn't quite been able to keep up. Pacific Simsport looked very dangerous after the pit stop. They haven't made too much of an impression either, and Pure Sims have kind of dropped off, as Valkyrie Esports off the circuit, and that is another position for Wild Animals. They're down into 10th position now, and this is how it happened. They were chasing the Mads Gravsen car, the Fuga Sim Sports car, and just as we saw with a team earlier on in the race, losing the rear end, that's going to be gravel in a couple of years' time down at Puan, and just touches the barrier, the Valkyrie Esports car back on his way out.
Yeah, I think, again, Wild Animals at the moment getting ever closer and gaining just points here and there. Another 5 minutes into the race, are they going to get another position? As we see Artem getting very, very dangerously close to the grass going into the entry of Blanchimont. That's that's a corner you don't want to be touching the grass with your inside wheel, with the rear wheel. That's definitely, of all the corners around Spa, that is definitely not the entry corner that you want to be touching the grass on. So, but no, manages to keep it all in check.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but we've had an issue for Kairos Competition 238. They've just lost the amateur lead and are continuing to lose time. I wonder if they've done what you were just saying, dipped the wheel onto the grass into the Blanchimont, because that is where they've lost the time. And Kairos Competition, for the first time pretty much this season, are not leading the amateur class into the closing stages.
Interesting stuff. That could have been, unfortunately, commentator's curse, but not even for the team that we were talking about there. So, yes, unfortunately for them, we're going to be getting potentially a replay here. So this is actually going through into None. And again, jetting on the power seems to be okay at this point. Again, going through Puan next, a very tricky corner. You've got to get the entry right. Sorry, we've just been told that it's a little bit further down the order at the moment, because we've got Florian Beer that's going to have a bit of a moment, potentially. As I say that, we have got it here. So, Sam, if you could step in again for me, please.
Yeah, just a massive slide with the rear end. Maybe their tyres aging. They don't change tyres out there, so they're starting to expire out there. And Finn with a big slide, but they kept it out to the wall. Razaholics, though, into the lead. They drove very well at Daytona, did Razaholics. It's nice to see Florian Beer looking like he's going to be able to take that race win across a successful driver in the BMW in the Apex Racing Academy GT4 series earlier on in the season. As Manatee Racing just across the line once again, we have got 2 more laps for the race leaders. Just miss out on a third by about, well, they won't just miss out, they'll miss out on a third by about 40 seconds. So it shouldn't be any issues with the fuel. Everyone would have expected this many laps. Yeah, a couple of laps away from race victory. The battles, remarkably, have kind of calmed down on the most, but we have got a good one between Pro Academy Sim Sports and WS Racing Esports. Just as I say that, WS Racing Esports are on an issue, dearie me. So bad news. Sorry, Justin. I'll take responsibility for that one. It's another issue at Puan, which seems to be a tricky corner on aging tyres, and it's almost identical. It just seems as though when you're following another car, you lose downforce. And well, actually, that was a bit early, so he's actually dropped it almost on the curb there. And Holtz, after a spin earlier on, WS Racing recovering very well. They're back down to 23rd position after that, and that has actually generated quite a nice battle, because they're now only just behind Fuga Sim Sports, M-Science Sim Multiple, and only just ahead of Pure Sims 3. So this could be a good battle heading on to the last lap.
Yes, indeed, another couple of laps to go. Sorry, as I say that, last lap, as you just said there, Sam. So are we going to see a little bit of battling going through here? I think at the moment, with the gaps how they are, this could be very, very close indeed. We've got M-Size Immortal catching up quite considerably to Fuga Sim Sport, as we've got WS Racing going a little bit wide going into the bus-up, so that has dropped some time. But yeah, M-Size needs to get a good run going through turn 1 out of La Source and carry that speed all the way going through Eau Rouge and Radion. And again, I believe if they can get a good enough run, a move could very well be on the cards through Lacombe, as we've got Tom Bingham for the Performance Link Esports car in P22, unfortunately having a bit of a moment, so he's going to have to let the WS Racing Esports car go through, and he does indeed. But no, very, very slow going through, it seems to be Eau Rouge and Radion, and he's dropped so much time. And it's at the moment, he's got to watch out for Kairos Competition, because they are going to be coming back. Number 236 car. So this is going to be a battle between the 285 and the 236. Is the gap enough, though? The gap is 3/10. I wonder if it's going to be enough. The gap has actually dropped down to just under 3/10 as well. So I think Kairos Competition on, Performance Link Esports on the back foot here. They that little bit of contact going through La Source has really hurt them a bit. So one more lap to go. Can they keep Kairos Competition behind them? We're going to be seeing that in another 3/4 of a lap. We will find out.
Yeah, I've actually got another lap to go after this one, because the leader is behind them on track, but only just, so they're they'll pretty much have an extra lap, and this is a long circuit, so we'll be able to pay attention to this, thankfully, even after the checkered flag is out. But that was an odd one down into turn 1. I think it must have been, yeah, one of the cars getting into the Performance Link Esports car, and they lost out badly because of it. I think it may have been the Vulcan Sim Racing car who got into that. Here is the Performance Link car, and they just had a cars competition. Vulcan lost a lot of time actually with that. They did, I guess, have a half spin, so that does promote Fuga Sim Sports and M Science also up into 19th and 20th place respectively. So here comes Kairos, gets a brilliant launch, but this Blanchemont corner certainly would never be included in a circuit nowadays. It's pretty dangerous. Also, it really discourages overtaking because it's only single file, but still trying to attempt the move as Vulcan Sim Racing coming to the pits. I can only imagine that is because they have exceeded the incident limit they have. They got 26 incidents, and so they have to serve a driving penalty right at the close. As Mark Hutchinson loses out to Mohamed Janko for Vulcan Sim Racing. They're coming back though, great speed through Lekum, and he moves ahead as the race leader, apologies, is just coming to the line. There he is, Alexandra Masia, the 179, their first race in the Porsche, and then Vanity Racing dominate at Spa. They win round 3 of the Apex Racing League GT Team Championship in dominant style. AAA Esports 162 and 163 will round out the podium, and at the moment it looks like Razaholics 287 are going to be able to take the amateur win as well. There's some other battles going on though. I think we're going to have to go back to maybe Fuga Sim Sports and M Science and Mortal, the 19th and 20th. And we've also got this one as well, actually, Mark Hutchinson versus Vulcan Sim Racing, going to come down right to the line.
It is indeed. I don't know if anything's going to happen. This is going to be it's going to have to be a move into bus stops. Obviously, Blanchemont, unless you want to try and go too wide, I don't think it's going to happen. Vulcan Sim Racing aren't quite close enough. The gap is just about 2/10, so I definitely think that a bus stop move is going to be on the cars, carrying a good amount of speed going through there. This is going to be the way they're going to set up. Evo SR are definitely going to go defensive. They have done indeed. All they need to do is to try and make it through one more corner, try and upset Vulcan Sim Racing, but they're going to try and get the cutback. I don't think they're going to do it. No, they don't. So Evo SR, very, very close racing, a respectable racing from these guys. But there we go. Razaholics taking the win in the AM class at Spa here for the Apex Racing League GT Series Round 3. A cracking race from those guys, and capitalise on Kairos competition's unfortunate mishap towards the latter stages.
Yeah, here comes Daniel Lee as well, trying to get past JP Gendron. Oh, this is more like a cutback, but the line comes up pretty quick around this circuit, and he won't have time. It is, it is Fuga Sim Sports 113 beating M Science Sports 110. I think they'll both be a bit disappointed with that result, those two teams, but they did have a good comeback, good second half to the race at least. And the other cars come through. Performance Link, disappointing end for them, running in the top 20 for most of the race, but end up in 24th. And there is the championship leader, AAA Esports 162. Will have a championship lead going into the final round. I'll try to calculate those points whilst we have interviews with the drivers, but we do think that they're going to have approximately an 11-point lead after previously trailing by 13 points going into this round. So could still change round, but Wild Animals with it all to do going into Suzuka to end the season in 1 week's time. And I believe all the drivers are across the line, and so we will be able to take you through your final finishing order. And it is a second race win of the season for Manatee Racing by 23 seconds. They were literally just half a second lap faster every single lap. No one came close, no driver came close to them all race long. AAA Esports, good recovery in 23 seconds behind. Actually, a photo finish between, or a formation finish between the two teammates. Pacific Sim Sports did very well in 4th place. PSMZ Esports just dropped back with Andy Shield, but still another good haul of points, but then they may be up into 3rd place in the championship. After that, I believe, Pure Sims Esports. Then it was the 2 Evo SR cars of the 148 and the 144 with their best results of the season. Fuga Simsport 191 was in 8th. Then it was Wild Animals 127, Valkyrie Esports 117, Evo SR 173, Vulcan Sim Racing 122, finishing in 12th. Razaholics were top of the amateur teams, ahead of the Curse Competition 238, who take a big championship advantage going into the last round. Behind that was ARL Abruzzi Esports, Ignium Motorsports 229, Pro Academy Simsports 269. Then it was T3 Esports, Fuga Simsports, M-Science Immortal, WS Racing Esports, Pure Sims 3, Performance Link Esports, SCS Motorsports, Indie Autosports, Vulcan Sim Racing, Perfect Vision Racing, Kairos Competition 236, having a tricky day down in 28. There was PND Racing, Go Around Racing Team, Ignium Motorsports, Fuga Sim Sports, Indie Autosport, Pro Academy Sim Sports, SimTech Racing, Eclipse Racing Team, Scale Freak, Indie Autosport were in 38th. And then in 39th was Extreme Motorsports, Vulcan Sim Racing, Pro Academy Sim Sports, Delort was in 42nd, and then DRS Wave Italy, the last of the teams who took the start. So a few less retirees, and everyone who was within 2 laps there, scoring points. We are going to have some chats with the drivers. I think we are going to be able to have a chat with Dylan Scrivens, who has taken another race victory then for Manatee Racing, and in dominant style as well, absolutely crushing the opposition. Congratulations, Dylan. Was that just the Porsche then? Because you've been quick so far this season. That was a whole new level of pace though.
That was a combination of a good setup, a really good feeling in the car. The car just felt really hooked up, and I don't know, it just all came together. I think, yeah, went pretty well.
Absolutely. How do you keep your concentration in a race like that? I mean, were you pushing throughout in order to keep the concentration, or are you quite relaxed in the in the car? I mean, what's your mindset when it comes to that?
First couple of laps I need to concentrate, but once I found the rhythm, I can be on voice chat, I can joke around, I can relax basically, and the driving just comes naturally, most of the time.
Absolutely. Going into Suzuka for the next round of the championship. Unfortunately, you're out of championship contention, but is the aim now just to get 3 wins out of 4?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We weren't really enjoying the Corvette. We had a bad round last time due to some other circumstances, but Alex said, "Try the Porsche," and I was like, "All right," and it was pretty good.
Yeah, it served you very well tonight. And how was the incident as well? We saw you get pretty close to the instant limit. It nearly got to 15. Was that something that you and your teammate had to think about too much?
Not really. In my stint, I only got 2, so I left Alex as many as he needed. So I always find it better to have enough at the end than trying to be trying not to do incidents every couple of laps at the end.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations tonight, Dylan, on that dominant race win. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah. Alex for making the setup, considering I only bought the car on Thursday, I think. So this was like the first couple of days I've ever had in it. So I have no idea how to set it up. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, congratulations once again on the race win, and best of luck for Suzuka.
Cheers.
Dylan Scrivens there with the race win for Manatee Racing. Daniel, who would you like to have a chat with next?
Well, I'm just having a look. We do have EJ O'Donnell, the race winner for the AM Class. Actually, no, apologies, not the race winner for the AM Class,
Oh,
unfortunately.
don't remind him.
Sorry, no, well, let's not go there.
A tough time.
No, let's not go there, shall we? Have we got EJ? How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad, guys. How are you?
Not too bad at all, thank you. Well, I think unfortunately we're going to have to, how did the race go for you? I suppose not the way we wanted it to.
Yeah, had a rough time in qualifying, and so we started P20 overall, and had to make up some positions at the start, and got things going. Managed to get ahead, and get up to P1 in AM. And Kevin just had a small incident through Stavlo, with like 3 laps to go, and honestly, he did a great job just getting it back together and not getting another off track, because one more we would have had a penalty. So the fact that he was able to recover and still bring it home P2 and AM was an awesome drive for him.
No, absolutely. To be fair, as we all know, and we actually said it in the broadcast, Spa is notorious for off tracks. I know it's definitely one of my pet peeves with this track. The fact that it seems to be off tracks never in my favour. I think, shall we say, around here. Going into the last round at Suzuka, is it a track that you guys, that both of you enjoy? Is it something that you've done a lot of testing around? What's the game plan going into it?
I'm not sure about Kevin. We haven't talked about it too much yet. We try to take it like one race at a time. I know that for me, I've done a little bit of GTE at Spa, at Suzuka, but it's definitely not one of my stronger tracks. So we're going to be paying pretty close attention to where the other AM drivers are, and really just try to manage ourselves, and keep it safe the best we can.
Good stuff indeed. Well, honestly, EJ, no, it's really, really good stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing both of you on the grid for the final round next weekend. Before we do round off, though, anyone you would like to give a shout out to?
Just thanks to you guys for doing an awesome job with the broadcast week in and week out. Thanks to Kairos for helping out with setups, driving, all that jazz. And then thanks to, I guess, my wife for letting me spend way too much money on we all love.
That's the main one, isn't it? To be fair, that's the main one that we'd like to thank. No, great stuff, EJ. No, brilliant. Yeah, like I said, look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, guys.
And there we go. That was EJ O'Donnell, partnering with Kevin Finn for the Chorus competition car number 238 P2 in class. Unfortunately for these guys this time, but I'm sure they're going to be doing doing a lot of testing going through to Suzuka, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing them up there and potentially, hopefully challenging for that top spot and ultimately the championship win as well.
Yeah, they will be looking very good, I think, with that championship lead. Looking good for Chaos to get that amateur championship win. Next up, we will talk with some drivers from a couple of different teams. Benjamin Lessens and also apology, I think we brought John Dinkle in, but Kenny Rusens as well would be good to have a chat with as well, because they managed to finish in 2nd and 3rd positions tonight. Congratulations, Kenny, out there first up, because I believe you guys are now the championship leaders with 1 round to go.
Yeah, thank you, Sol. Thank you. And the goal before the run was to take the lead of the championship for the last round. We managed to do it with the help of the sister cars. So yeah, that's for us, that's a very good race. We couldn't catch Manichi at all. They were on another level today. So yeah, P2 was the best we could have done tonight.
Yeah, it was a really good effort. Benjamin, you were in the car for that second stint in the 163 machine. Was there any kind of tactics between the two cars to maximize the position, or was it very much just driving for yourself?
No, of course, we know that for us the championship was already over, so we were here to help the 162 car. But the race was quite close. It was not easy with the tire managing at the end, because my mate Florian was like the whole race behind Amaury Bonduel for the whole race, so it was not easy with the tire management. But no, it's finally a good result for Kenny and Amaury. So everything was going as planned, so it's fine.
Yeah, well, on those tires, Benjamin, is that the front tires then kind of wearing down, or is it the rear tires then that which are the main issue?
Yeah, we had a little problem with the front left, if I'm right. So yeah, but we knew that it's gonna be hard, but to be honest with you, we practice on on a temperature which was a lot less. Like we practiced on weather like 20 degrees, and when we arrived at the race and we saw like on the first practice the weather going around 30 degrees, we were struggling a bit, so we had to change quickly some stuff on the setup. But yeah, finally, I think even if we had a little bit more practice, we wouldn't catch Mazia and the first car. So we are quite proud of what we did, and it's fine.
Definitely, and also Kenny, going into the last round now, you got the championship lead. I believe you just need to finish within one place of Wild Animals, and you're the champion. So even if they win, you just need to finish second. Is that going to change your driving? Is that going to change your approach and your driving in the last round?
I think for Suzuka, we're gonna start practicing with high weather, because all 3 rounds we, like for Spa and Silverstone, we were been practicing on cold weather, and when it was the race day, track was always very hot. So I think for Suzuka, we're gonna practice on cold weather and we're gonna go for the win. But yeah, we will see how it goes.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck, you guys. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, to AAA Esports, of course, and all the Amaury, Florian, and Nolan who helped for the setup during the week and for the driving. And also, again, congratulations to Manichi and the sister car.
Awesome. Well done, guys, on a double podium, and we'll see you back next Sunday.
Yeah, thank you. Peace.
Of course. Bye-bye, guys.
So that was Kenny Reasons and Benjamin Lesens. Finishing in second and third positions for AAA Esports. I think we've got time for one more interview. Daniel, who would you like to talk with?
Well, I'm just thinking we've got Mr. John Dinkle from the P3 in the AM class, the number 229 Ignium Motorsport car. So it'd be good to catch up with those. Good to catch up with John. John, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Yeah. We had a very good race today, I have to be honest. But sadly, the other team didn't. Ignium Black didn't have too good of a race today.
Unfortunately not, no, which is a little bit of a shame. But to be fair, one of the Ignium cars on the podium. So no, really, really good result from you guys. What was the game plan going into the race?
So we know that the track incidents, off tracks, are very strict here, so we had to keep it clean. And kind of similar to how the Silverstone and Daytona went, just kind of keep it clean, get it to the end, try to make some passes in the pits by not getting any sort of penalties, and ultimately has been working it out for us.
No, absolutely, and it definitely has paid off, like you said, especially around Spa. You know, a track that is notorious for incident points. Very, very good to obviously making sure that they do. You guys do keep it under that threshold before a penalty. I suppose going into the last round at Suzuka, is it something that you guys have had a lot of practice round? Well, I suppose both the Ignium cars, or is it something that you need to, you're going to be putting in a lot of practice? I'm sure you guys are. But again, is there strategy differences now going into the final penultimate round? For the final round?
Yeah, I think so. We're I think maybe second in the standings at the moment. So I think to kind of keep that spot where we are, we just want to make sure that we can avoid incidents, keep it on track while still being able to overtake, still being able to pass people. One of the Nico on Team Black has been giving us setups, and they've been really good. So kind of just continuing our momentum into the last round. Suzuka is a fun track. It's very, very technical. So hope to have some fun there, but mainly just kind of get to the end, finish out this championship.
Brilliant, absolutely. Well, we look forward to seeing you next week for the final round. And before we wrap up there, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, same as last week, being my teammate Naveed Hussein. Did a very good job wrapping up the race today. Kind of helped being that crew chief, talking over, helping him know if the car ahead would have been slower or faster, if it was a back marker, and just he was really fast once he got in the car, and just gotta give him some credit.
Good stuff indeed. No, brilliant stuff. Well, John, again, congratulations for the P3 in the AM class, and we look forward to seeing you on the grid for the final round next week.
All right, thank you.
And there we go. That was John Dinkle there, partnering with Naveed Hussein for the Ignia Motorsport car, P3, the number 229 Porsche. Very, very good drive indeed from them.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just calculated the points, by the way, and I was slightly wrong with the points, but I wasn't too far. So I thought it was going to be an 11-point advantage for AAA. It's actually a 9-point advantage for AAA going into the last round. So if Wild Animals win next time out and they don't pick up any penalties, they will definitely win the championship. So you get the difference between first and second is 9 points, and because they'll have the 2 race wins to AAA Esports 1 race win, that would confirm apologies to AAA Esports 0 race wins, that would confirm the championship for them. So that's quite important. That's 9 points, not 11. It means that it is still in AAA Esports hands, but to beat Manatee Racing next time out would be extremely tricky. So that will be the task set for them next time out. Of course, at Suzuka for the next race. You know what? We're just going to have a quick chat, very quick chat, to Bradley Holst, because I believe we may have missed Bradley last time out at Stolpston from the interviews, but we're going to have a chat with him now in the 228 car. Hello, Bradley. How is it going? I've just quickly rushed you in here, so I'm not even 100% sure where you finished, but talk us through your race.
Yeah, we had, due to a Silverstone incident, we had to start front pits, so that's already not getting off to an ideal start. Jason started not bad. Unfortunately, we got punted off by a Corvette. Then from there, it all kind of went downhill until lap 13-14 till we swapped, and then I luckily got it from P41 up to P35, so overall not a bad race.
Yeah, not too bad whatsoever. How was the overtaking around this space? We know that the draft is very possible, but was it actually easy to kind of outbrake opponents out there through the various corners?
The people we travel race against, it wasn't too bad because they seem to have quite an early braking point, so I just had to slam on anchors and hope for the best, really. And luckily I got away with it on all the overtakes, which I did. And then it's just more hard to try and balance that with faster cars coming through.
It's great that you stuck with the Ferrari for the past couple of seasons, because there's not too many Ferraris out there, but you run it for I believe certainly season 2 and season 3 in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. What are kind of the strengths and weaknesses of the Ferrari? I mean, do you know why everyone else doesn't go for it?
For me, it's more of a comfort car because I've got the most experience in it, so I know how it's going to react around most tracks. And with I was tempted to go with a Porsche, as I'm seeing to be quicker in that recently. But so it's more of a comfort thing, knowing that I'm going to be able to put out consistent lap times, and it seems to be quite good round corners. And obviously, it's a complete monster down straights.
Absolutely. It's nice to see the prancing horse out on circuit. Congratulations out there tonight, Bradley. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, all the guys at Simtech for supporting me and helping me practice through week, and thanks to Kevin Ellis Jr. and Zach Campbell from Apex Racing Academy for helping me drop 3 to 4 seconds through week for ILMS and for this race.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Bradley, out there. We'll see you next time at Suzuka.
See you later.
Bradley Holst there for SimTech Racing. So yeah, one more round to go, Daniel, and it is Suzuka. Whilst the Amateur Championship looks pretty safe, of course the overall championship is extremely close. I think Suzuka's a track, as we see a huge crash for Guerra. Suzuka's certainly going to be a track where it can go wrong very quickly. Not a lot of runoff areas around that circuit, lots of gravel and grass surrounding the track. So it will be it should be a good season finale and an unpredictable season finale.
Absolutely, it's going to be close. I think Suzuka's really going to throw potentially some drivers are going to gain some pace. Potentially some drivers are also going to lose some pace as well. So, I mean, yeah, it's really too close to call, especially in the pro category. But yeah, I can't wait. It's been such an incredible season. The amount of cars that we've had, both in the pro and AM class, we've had some incredible racing. And yeah, I just cannot wait to get Suzuka underway. It's just going to be, yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm sure if we've had anything to go off of from the last 3 rounds, the action is going to be non-stop as per usual. And yeah, obviously At the end of Suzuka, we're going to find out who comes out on top. But let's not count out anything happening just yet.
Yeah, it can so easily turn around very quickly. There could well be some post-race penalties from this, so the results certainly aren't final, but that does seem to be the situation. Triple A Esports with a 9-point advantage over Wild Animals. Also, Pure Sims, Vulcan, and Pacific Racing still with a chance as well. Cars Competition 238 with a 24 points advantage over T3 Esports as well in the amateur category. So that one's a little bit more comfortable, but all can change at Suzuka. We will see you back for that one in a week's time. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it and also subscribe to Apex Racing TV. I've got lots of broadcasts coming up, albeit slightly diminished schedule over Christmas, but we might have a week or so off pretty much for many of the broadcasts, but then we'll be back underway, and during January and February we usually get a lot of broadcasts. We'll probably be up to 20, 25 broadcasts a week, so certainly do subscribe to Apex Racing TV for all of that. We are certainly looking forward to the new build, and we'll bring you all of that new content as well in our new broadcast. But of course, the Apex Racing League GT Team Championship will come to a conclusion next week, and we will see you for that one. But for now, for myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Daniel Handover, and from Sam Kume, we will say goodbye, and we will see you next time.